Ge, ge, no ge. Hello, welcome, PROLIX Comics, BOLLIX.
Hmm.
And as you may have guessed, we are going to be talking about Shigeru Mizuki's GEGEGE no KITARO, or KITARO of the Graveyard.
Hmm.
I'm Kukuku no Kutaro,
Ah,
and he is.
Nikarasu Tengu.
There we go. Um, what finer guides could you possibly have?
Well,
None more fine
no, no,
is the
no. I
answer.
have brought along
Ah,
my
right.
my field guide
Ah, there we
to
go. It's a blast from the past.
yokai.
I mean, I
Um,
say blast from the past. I do have a copy of that, but it's like in a cupboard or it's
right.
a book that actually.
It is. Yeah.
And the co-writer now does the Pure Tokyo Scope podcast with Patrick Messias, the guy who wrote that Tokyo Scope book, right?
Okay.
Yeah, they do a podcast together. Did I
Hmm.
not mention this to you?
Probably you have, but
Ah, yeah,
it
yeah,
always
I know
goes
you. You
in
don't
one
pay
ear out the
attention
other.
to it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It takes someone saying it three times to you, is that
Uh,
right? Before it, at least.
yes. Yes.
In
And
my
then
case, it seems like more. Like if
probably
anyone else, I have to tell you like 10 times.
10 to 12
Yeah,
times. Yes. Yeah. It's like it's like it's like if Candyman was really, really slow and dense and you had to say it 12 times in front of the
right.
mirror before Tony Todd comes. Um
Cunty man.
that's the one. Um
Um, so cunty
so
man. We're talking yeah, So
it's this is not our first rodeo with old Shigeru. I
no,
did bring to the table in a previous Prolix Comics Bollix we talked about Onward Towards Our Glorious Deaths, his
yes.
semi-autobiographical book about some of his experiences in war.
Yes.
Um,
In Papua New Guinea, right?
yes, yeah, where he lost his drawing arm, which I'm sure we talked about back then, but it's always worth bringing up just the fact
Yeah.
that this
What?
man,
So he drew with his left hand, did he?
so whichever was his dominant arm, he
It was his
lost.
left when he lost. Yeah,
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 yeah. So
yeah.
yeah, I guess he was left-handed. He drew with his left hand, and then retrained himself to draw.
Remarkable.
Yeah, I mean, expert. I mean that's one of the things about Mizuki, and I understand that like a lot of Japanese artists, we talked about just recently. We talked about Tezuka, and how he did have a fairly large team working with him. But I don't think there's any question um, that Mizuki could have done it himself, right? Like, I mean,
Hmm.
any one of those incredibly detailed backgrounds or whatever is something he could have drawn. Whether or not he did every time, I don't know. But they are
Yeah,
beautiful. I mean, they're truly beautiful in that way that Japanese comics, I think, excel at that ability to have that super layered, dense, beautifully evocative sense of place, and then these very reduced, cartoony kind of figures, but
right.
that are really um, I don't know. I'm not grabbing the word, but you can relate to in a really easy way that are highly kind of you can project yourself into these kind of little
Right.
figures.
Right. So yeah, so we did talk about that, but
Mhm.
of course he is most famous.
Mhm.
His big creation is um Gegege or Hakaba Kitaro. So
Not his creation, as it turns out,
no, no,
which is
no, no.
interesting.
Yes, no. So basically the character begins in Kamishibai form, right? And I
Mhm.
think we might talk about Kamishibai in more detail another time because there's a few interesting books on it,
Are there?
and I don't
Okay.
know that much about it really. And there's a couple of anime series I think which are like trying to recreate the Kamishibai experience. But basically,
Mhm.
Kamishibai was kind of, I suppose, like a mixture of like a live, like Punch and Judy kind of
Yeah.
show setup, but it would be painted scrolls that were like moved almost like
Yes.
in a cinematic way while an orator kind of, so it was like a weird like paper theater for kids or something like that.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
if you've ever seen like occasionally there's Kamen Rider or one of those tokusatsu shows from the 70s, there's a few of them that begin with someone doing like a
Right.
kamishibai. But then, of
Mm.
course, they turn out to be ha ha the puffer smoke, and it's
Right.
Scorpion Man or something like that, like trying
Yes,
to
yeah.
kidnap all the children. And they all weirdly in those tokusatsu shows, people always end up crucified, right?
Mm.
Um,
Yeah, they're really, yeah, that even shows up in, at one point, whatever his name is, Nezumi Otoko ends up crucified in one of
right,
these,
right.
flying around on a cross. Um, but yeah, I mean, so it was very much proto manga though, and a lot of the people who kind of pioneered that the visual side of that storytelling ended up then going into the rental manga
Yeah.
world,
So that
right?
this is the other interesting thing, which again I'm not exactly entirely sure, slightly murky, but it's fascinating to consider. Yeah. So there's the Kamishibai, and then alongside, yeah, you would have had this thing called rental manga, right? Which were I'm guessing like library
Yeah.
comics, and so this was before people could really own their own
Hmm.
comics, right? And still, I don't think they weren't doing tankobon for a while, right? The collected volume.
No.
So you would have had Kamishibai, like street theater. You'd been able to rent comics, and I guess they would have been maybe like I don't know if they had independent publishers of those were like government kind of sanctioned things. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
And then at a certain point, someone got the idea of more commercial manga in magazines,
Yeah.
right? And then manga themselves, just in and of themselves. And then at some point, I'm not quite sure when they started the idea of collected tankobon
Hmm.
volumes. But this is the yeah. So originally Hakaba Kitaro or Graveyard Kitaro, right,
Hmm.
is the original character created by someone else entirely. And then I think Mizuki Shigeru starts drawing for the Kamishibai, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And the rental comics. And then at a certain point, he asks, Can I do this? He asks the creators, Can I do this myself? And this is even, I think this is in the 50s, he starts doing it. But
Hmm.
it's not a hit, right? It's not a hit at all.
No. No.
It doesn't hit until, well, not even the way I understood it, it doesn't even hit until maybe the anime is on or just
Yes.
before, right? So he's
Yes.
doing it like again. He tries again in the 60s for like now there's manga magazines or
Hmm.
magazines with manga in, and that's when it slowly starts getting an audience, right?
Catch on. Yeah.
And then it's popular enough that they do the anime series in the 60s, which we'll talk about a little bit. And then that kind of provides a feedback loop, right? And kids get into them and they find them, and then we're off to the races. And then
Yeah.
GEGEGE no Kitaro becomes one of the most beloved characters of maybe anime even more than comics, I feel. Um,
Yes.
and to this day, there's still, I mean, there's a series in the 60s, there's a series in the 70s, there's a series in the 80s, there's a
Hmm.
series in the 90s,
Yeah.
there's a couple of series after. Like, it's a non-stop. I'm sure that we'll get another series. There's
Mhm.
been a theatrical anime release, there's been live action things we'll talk about a little bit as well. So it's a proper IP at this
Oh
point.
yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
crossed over as well. I'm not overly familiar with it, but there's another anime series called Yokai Watch. I don't know if you know about this. And
Uh, I've heard of
yeah,
it, but
so I think that's kind of crossed over a little bit in recent years. And yeah, but it's huge, and it also specifically Gegege is the big popularizer when it comes to yokai
hmm.
in the public consciousness, right? Like
Yeah.
yokai as a sandbox to play in when it comes to
Yes.
comics and films and
Yeah. It certainly seems like when you read about Mizuki, you start coming up against all kinds of other artists who kind of point to, and not just artists, but filmmakers and writers,
folklorists as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
who point back to like, yes, that exposure to his stories. And of course, apparently he owes much of that to his nanny, right?
Well, she wasn't
Supposedly.
his nanny. Oh, sorry. She
Yeah,
might have been.
yeah.
Sorry, she wasn't
Yes.
his. people
She wasn't
often
his
consider
granny.
no, no.
No, no, but I think she was the yeah, she was the lady, the old lady who took care of the kids in the house. What
Yeah,
you know?
but she was also this repository of like
Yeah.
ancient kind of folklore and stuff, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, she seems to be ground zero for this for him, you
Hmm. Yeah.
know.
And then so it's funny, there's a story quite near the end of the run of stuff that we read, um, which I had to kind of stop midway through and was like, hang on. And then I went onto the Studio Ghibli website and also, or like a fan site and also a few other places to figure out whether or not, and yes, Mizuki was involved somewhat in the making of Pompoko and is given credit in
Right.
Pompoko
Yes.
for some of the ideas because I was like, this seems very like even the way that they're drawn and like the way they're drumming on. I
Yes.
know that
Yes.
some of this is just Japanese mythology,
I made the same note.
but and then all the big Dido, whatever it is, the big skeleton that appears in the film, like a
Yes.
lot of the stuff from the fantasy elements of that seems like they
Yeah.
were nod.
Worth mentioning as well, because Pompoko, I think, is, I guess lots of people might have made the same mistake as me. So, Pompoko, a Studio Ghibli film by Takahato Isao, right? The other big creator there, as well as Miyazaki, who also did episodes of the 68 GEGEGE anime series.
Oh, that makes
Was an early
sense.
gig film. But yeah, I so Pompoko is like it's the EU certificate. Whenever you see
Mm.
the cover, it's like some friendly raccoon family playing around,
Hmm.
and it really does seem. And I thought, you look at it, you think, oh, this is the most kid
Right.
friendly, childish of the. This is like even this is like
Mhm.
what's the fucking underwater um
Oh,
the lake
Ponyo?
that yes,
Yeah.
it seems even more
Right.
childish than, but which is fine, but
Mm.
you might not think, oh, this isn't for me, this isn't for the Nausicaa or Spirited Away
Hmm.
fan, or but you are very
Hmm.
wrong.
Yes.
Pompoko is fucking amazing. It's one of the very best Ghibli films,
Yes.
and some of the spooky shit in it is like quite
Yep.
spooky and
Hmm.
mesmerizing and disturbing.
Yeah.
So
And it has all kinds of references that you are not going to catch if you're even just a casual anime fan, unless you're fairly well steeped. Like there's a segment near the beginning where two sets of raccoons are fighting with each other, and one of them transforms into Nemuri Kyoshiro and does the
right,
full moon kind. You're like, you're not
yes.
going to get that if you're
No,
even just an anime fan, right?
I almost forgot that I wore this especially for this. I do have
Oh,
straight out
sweet
of yeah.
Blackbeard or whatever his name is.
Yes. Yeah.
Very cool. Where did you get that?
Oh, bugbear, right? Because it
Oh,
connects
Bugbear,
to yeah,
yes.
yeah. The missus bought it for me. I do actually have a Hakaba Kitaro t-shirt as well, which is quite nice.
Nice.
Um, so we're talking. So I mean, the thing is, yes. So that's the origin, and there's a lot of Gegege, right? There's an
Hmm.
awful lot of Gegege, um, whether you're talking comics or anime, and I think at a certain point, obviously, the anime has started telling its own stories, right? Like that are not
Yes, yes.
just
Although the 68 series is interesting when I didn't watch every episode, but I watched a
no, me neither
smattering of
yet.
them.
I will
And
because I fucking
yes,
love it.
yeah, yeah, because they're great.
Yeah.
But definitely there are a number of episodes that are drawn directly from the manga. There is
Yes.
there is the giant whale. What the giant whale one is one of my favorite ones because it
Oh
gets into
yeah, yeah, yeah.
apparently, I don't know if this is true, but it may have come out pre Mecha Godzilla. It may be I
I
assumed
think
it
it
was
is. I was wondering about that as well, yeah, because there's the mecha versus the, and I was
yeah,
thinking, hang on, when's the first? Well, not so much. I was thinking when's Mazinger and all that stuff,
yeah,
but like,
70s.
yeah.
Yeah, it's also that's all early
So
70s.
yeah, so that
I think he was
motherfucker Mizuki's
first.
done it again.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. Because I was reading a thing and they were saying like, oh, there'd be no um Pacific Rim if it wasn't, and I was like, and then I was like, oh, maybe they're right. That
Yeah,
this
yeah,
may
yeah,
be
yeah,
the
yeah,
very first time we ever saw a giant robot punch the crap out of a giant
yeah.
monster.
No, that jumped out at me as well. But yes, so obviously at a certain point they've run out of source material, so they've started, doing their own things. And I'm
Mhm.
not that so in terms of the anime, I'm only familiar with because as you know, I like to go back and start at the so I've started watching the 60s series. It's really good, isn't it?
Oh yeah. The
It's
theme song is
it's
so good.
the
The whole opening
animation as well
part.
is beautiful. The black and white animation is
Yeah.
so it still looks fluid and stunning, and it's just really good, and all the voice acting is good. And I can't imagine. Can you imagine being a kid and seeing this in 1960 on television? It must have just
Hmm.
been amazing. But yeah, I'm a big fan of that. And the other thing as well is uh, in 2008, and it's considered kind of non-canonical. There was
Hmm.
an aimed at a slightly older audience. It was in a later time slot. They did 11 episode Hakaba Kitaro
Okay.
animation,
Hmm.
which I believe I've shared with you, but I don't know if you've seen it yet.
No, I don't think so. No.
Oh
Okay.
man, get on it. It's fucking great. So
Okay.
Hakaba Kitaro, which is what Gegege was originally called. So they deliberately in this series, they've decided to go back to it's so yeah, we'll get when so
Hmm.
Hakaba changes a little bit when it becomes Gegege. For a start, they had to change the name because they don't. I guess the sponsors didn't
Graveyard.
want graveyard in the that was a bit
Yes.
grim. And also the story changes. It becomes a bit more kid. I mean, it's still very ghoul. We'll get this
Hmm.
really ghoulish stuff in the comics, but the original is a bit harsher. Gegege is less. So later on, Gegege becomes this helpful presence between the human and the
Yeah,
yokai
he almost
world, right?
becomes like Mushishi, which we talked about before as well.
Yes,
He becomes this kind of intermediary between the world
yes,
of the yokai
exactly.
and the world of the humans. And he has a post box. You can send him letters. Please come and help us out. Gay, gay, gay.
If you can hire
Trying to.
him and you can find
Yes.
him, you can hire Gegege team.
Okay.
Uh,
Exactly.
uh,
Um,
but
yes.
but early on, he's not that character at all. Like he's a
Oh,
lot more just misanthropic, and
yep.
so they did this anime series in 2008 called Hakaba Kitaro. Doesn't use the iconic theme tune, but does have a really surprisingly cool kind of techno theme tune by Denki Groove of all people, which is really
Okay.
catchy. I think you like it. But the art style is they've kind of tried to go back and capture the Kamishibai
Right.
watercolor look, and
Cool.
that's a fantastic looking anime as well. Hakaba Kitaro is really good,
Okay.
and it gets
No,
overlooked
definitely.
because it's non-canonical.
Okay.
It's not considered, but Hakaba Kitaro is quite excellent and a little bit darker, and you love watching it because it is like these early stories are represented.
Right. Okay.
It's really, really. On if you don't like it, I shall eat some item of footwear.
Okay.
Yes.
I mean, I do the earliest episodes where they kind of introduce him, right, are just fantastic. The whole like birth story of
Well,
Kitaro
that's in Hakaba Kitaro.
is amazing,
Yeah,
right?
which they
Yeah.
never did in the
No,
gig because it's a bit too
too
dark.
weird.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So no, no,
Um,
you get that. On another gig fans who haven't seen Hakaba, check it out. It's really something.
I will say even the later stuff, the stuff that clearly comes out pre the 60s TV series, it's still weird. Like it's
Oh yeah.
it's
Just to
never
finish
not.
my thought, sorry as well,
Yeah,
before you,
go on. Yeah.
that's what I was in the middle of saying was, I past that, I don't really know the 70s,
Hmm.
80s, 90s
Right.
stuff. You've watched a bit of that, have you, in the past,
No,
or
I think I mostly had just seen some of the 60s stuff before.
right,
Um,
right.
and then I hadn't really read any. I'd seen it. I'd seen reproductions of the art and stuff in various manga books I bought over these, and always been like, "Oh, it looks amazing,"
Mm,
but at the time, probably I wasn't really easily gettable in English.
yeah. And also because it's so popular here, I think we've probably put it in the same draw as, oh yeah, that's popular, okay, but not like it's in the same draw as like Draimon or
Right, or Pokemon.
Detective Conan or yeah, that kind of
Right.
thing. Um,
Hmm.
but we were specifically so Drawn and Quarterly once again have put out 7 volumes of so yeah, mixture of the early Birth Katara stuff and then some later. I'm not quite sure if they've left anything out and the best of, or if they've actually just done it all chronologically up to a point. I'm not quite sure. Um, but what they have put out is pretty great, isn't it?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's something that I feel I don't always feel a strong urge to have something on paper, but this is one where if it ever appears in a way that's kind of cheap or like I would buy it in
Right.
a heartbeat to actually physically have it because I
Same.
was
Yeah,
reading
yeah.
it in a digital form and it's fine. It's great to read in any form, but I would quite like to have some of those pages so that I could really pour over them.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, agreed.
yeah,
And just take your time with it because it's fun to read just as a yarn, but then yeah, to go back and look in detail as well, like, stuff like this, right?
yeah.
And then what the thing that fascinates me about it as well is just the boundless imagination of it. Like, because the thing is, it is definitely guilty of cheating every now and again. Like
Mhm.
suddenly halfway through a story, you'll be told, "Oh, by the way, Kitaro has the ability
To
to,"
do
and you're like,
this.
"Hang on, he couldn't do that before." But you don't care, and
No.
you let Mizuki get away with it because the bound, like, just what, like, there's I think there's a second or third episode of the 60s animation, and like in the course of 25 minutes or something, you're like, my God, this just it's not just that he has one or two good ideas. There's like a dozen
Hmm.
amazing ideas. Each single one could
Yep.
be, and certainly he does recycle things. But the thing is, there's so much in there that the recycling's warranted because you're like, oh, I want to know more about that
Yes.
vampire
Yep.
tree, and the
Yep.
vampire tree does come
Does come
back.
back.
Uh,
Yep.
but there's one of the comics. It's just one chapter of the Tankobon, so I'm assuming it must have been like 1 week or something in the comic.
Mhm.
There's that story with the Daruma, and he opens up and all the little Darumas come out.
There is, yes.
Wow, this is I really hope that comes back. That's fucking amazing. And
Yep.
the army of 808 Tanukis and stuff like
Yes.
that.
Which,
That's
as I
a
said,
story arc.
has to have
Yeah.
had a huge impact on Pompoko.
Yes, the
Um,
sea monster, what like we were saying, the
that
mecha, that's
whole like
yeah.
that whole thing is incredible. Some of those drawings and some of the beautifully illustrated drawings of that giant whale monster thing,
Yes, with the
like
teeth. Yeah.
looming over the. And actually, they bring another fish back in the Tanuki one, a gigantic fucking deep sea fish with like lamp eyes and these
Oh, well,
jagged teeth.
that's the legendary catfish that lives under Tokyo, right? That
Okay,
causes
yeah.
earthquakes. Yeah.
Yes, and I mean, it's drawn so well. Like it's just any of those panels, I was like, oh, Jesus, that's so cool.
Yeah. In fact, I was pointing this out to some visitor I had at some point, and you forget because you take for granted, but it's yeah, it's an interesting thing. So for people who don't know, there's this, urban legend that underneath Tokyo there's a giant catfish basically, and every now and again the catfish moves, and that's what happens. That's why we have earthquakes, right? But the
Hmm.
interesting thing about that is it's such a kind of iconic, kind of legendary thing that um so, like the main highways in Tokyo are, if there's ever a massive disaster, some of them has been allocated as routes to travel down, right? Like
Right.
they clear the traffic and they're walking routes for people who need to get home or whatever. And if you look closely at there's signs above these roads saying allocated
Mhm.
earthquake route or whatever. And if you notice, they all have this illustration of a big catfish on them.
Oh, fuck.
And,
That's
and I
cool.
was pointing, and someone
Ridiculous.
asked me, what does this say, and why has it got a catfish? And I was like, oh, well, that's because, and they were like, huh, like I had no idea, I never heard of this legend of this catfish that
That's
causes
cool.
earthquakes. Yeah. Oh, did you not know that?
No, I didn't know. That's
Oh, right,
fantastic.
okay.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. That I love that keeping the that kind of yeah culture alive.
Right.
I actually have a second book that I just found on my bookshelf today, which is like an Irish equivalent to this. It's
All
like
right.
and I was like, why haven't I already read this? Because I flipped through and already I found something. I was like, the Grogach. What the fuck's that? That thing sounds amazing. So I'm gonna dig in and try to learn what monsters are
Yeah.
apparently haunting my.
I used to have a book when I was a I think I've still got it actually in another room. I grabbed it from it. Yeah, the dictionary of like mostly like British monsters, right? And yeah, there's all
Right.
sorts of weird
Well,
shit I've
and we
never
did
heard
the
of.
Word Sykes book not that long ago, right? The one all about Welsh. Um,
Yes, yeah. But this was
yeah.
specifically like monsters. So there's like one, I can't remember what it's called. Is it like some kind of weird slug thing that lives in a tree that ends up eating its own feet? Um, Yeah,
That
there's
sounds
like
great.
loads of these things. Yeah. But no, yeah. So Kitaro, like, just yeah, the imagination is just boundless, and
We haven't even
no,
mentioned his dad yet. I mean, one of my favorite features
oh
of the stories
yes,
is
yes,
his dad, right? So Kitaro himself, if you can imagine, he's kind of a little kid, sort of with, a big anime looking head, and he's got the big kind of hank of hair that hangs down over one eye, right? Because
yeah,
in fact, he doesn't have the other eye. It's just this
yeah.
kind of socket, right? Which leads to some amazing scenes later on, which, as I was saying, are just quite creepy, really. But anyway, his dad. I don't even remember how is his dad being reduced to only being an eyeball with a tiny body
We don't
attached?
really know. So basically, at the beginning, so his parents are ghosts, right? So the whole thing in the setup as well is that ghosts have been basically crowded out, or yokai have been crowded out of life by humans.
Yeah,
And
like pompokos, like
yeah,
you're
yeah,
right.
and they're
Yeah,
all really poor, like throughout the comics, they're all like don't have enough to eat.
starving.
Yeah,
Yes,
and
especially Nezumi
especially
Otoko.
we also forgot to mention the horrible Nezumi Otoko, right? Who
Yeah, he's horror, or is he the greatest character
well,
ever?
in the Hakaba Kitaro anime, the
Hmm.
2008 one, you love him in that. He's really gross in that. Like he's
Okay,
really
okay.
disgusting. Um,
I like
yeah.
him a lot in all versions, and especially in the live action 1987,
Ah, yes, we'll
uh,
get to that.
which I definitely did watch last
Oh,
night.
cool. I'm glad you got right. I was gonna ask.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, so basically, and his father is like a mummy, basically like a mummy, and
Right.
yeah, and they get killed by. So there's a character very early on who gets sidelined. There's like the human character. He's the guy. He's like an insurance salesman or something, and that's how
Right.
it starts
Yes.
because he's called in because there's like a basically a yokai was they're
Oh,
trying to
gave
get to the
blood.
bottom. Yes.
Gave
They're
blood to
trying
the
to give
blood bank.
yeah, they're
Yes.
trying to get to the bottom of this guy, and he ends up going to this place, and he finds it's haunted, and yeah, there's a couple of ghosts who are Kitaro's parents. He ends up killing them and burying them, um,
Mhm.
but his mother was pregnant, so Kitaro literally
Was literally
crawls out
born
of
in
the
a graveyard and
womb.
crawls out of his own grave.
Yes,
Yes.
which
The
is like
name.
yeah, but then as well, yeah, it's not really explained, but his father's a big imposing mummy, but rather than him come back to life, just his eyeball comes back to
Mhm.
life. And
And grows a little body that
yes,
he can run around.
talks and "Taro!" talks in this very high voice, which is just so
Yeah.
it's I don't know how they do it because that could be irritating, but it's not. It's somehow
No.
he's adorable, isn't he? The
Yes.
eyeball.
Yes. I do remember I might have even bought a toy while I was there, even though I wasn't that familiar. I just thought that the concept was so incredibly cool that I
Yes.
might have at one point got one of those gachapon,
Yeah, yeah.
machine
Well,
and been
what's
like,
cool about
yes,
it is that he often like he likes to take baths, but like
yes,
in bowls, like
yes,
like
and little cups
bowls.
of tea and so on. Yeah, so with
Yeah.
with a little cloth on his head
Yes.
that's chilling out.
Kimochi, Kitaro's-san. Yes. No, he's great. He's absolutely. I think everyone loves
Hmm.
Papa Eyeball, right?
And a lot of times, a lot of his stories involve him just getting flattened or
Yes.
snorted up people's
He's
noses.
very
Or
resilient.
yes.
Uh,
But I was gonna say, so in one of the final segments of one of the last volumes that has been translated, there's a whole part where he has to climb inside Kitaro's other socket because Kitaro's lost his one good eye, and he's like,
mm,
"Oh, it's all right, I can be your eye for your son." But it's just very creepy because he's got these little hands sticking out of the corners of the socket and
yeah.
this big bulging thyroidic eye, and it's just, what the?
Oh no, it's very. I mean, that's the thing. It doesn't skimp. It is very very ghoulish and sometimes characters just flat out die.
Eye,
Like
yeah, yeah.
it's it's
And
yeah,
every now
no,
and again, there's
it's
a message for the children, like whatever you do, don't go and shit in a cave that might be haunted by yokai because they're not going to be down with that. And
right.
you know,
But it's interesting to me as far as I might be wrong about this. Maybe if you go hunting around, you would find this. But as far as I know, unlike say Fist of the North Star anime or something like that, or Violence Jack, I don't know if Gegege ever kind of provoked the ire of like PTA
no, I
associations,
can't see that. Yeah.
No, but you can imagine some blue noses like I don't know what the difference is. I maybe because it's not thus far. Oh yeah, so we should talk about apparently. I was going to say thus far at least it's
Hmm.
not particularly sexual, right? Like there's
Right.
violence and
Yes.
ghoulishness, but apparently there is
Hmm.
a period of as a gay goes to college or something, which
Hmm.
apparently goes into slightly kind of Porky's sex
Yeah.
comedy
And
territory,
apparently
which that sounds
he's
awesome to
aged
me.
yeah, he's aged up apparently
Yeah.
in that thing. And it is Mizuki. It's not some
Yeah,
other, it's
no,
not
no.
handed
I'm
off.
very curious to read that. That hasn't been translated. And the other one was yeah, he used him for socio-political purposes, and you get Gegege's Vietnam Diary, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That,
Although I mean, Vietnam is a recurring feature of the 60s era, right? Like he definitely, and I mean, it's worth mentioning that Mizuki was profoundly anti-war,
oh
right?
yes, yeah,
And
yeah,
obviously he lost his own arm, and
yes,
he didn't want to be a part of the greater glory of Japan at all.
right,
So apparently, he famously would salute, like if there was ever like a right-wing politician or whatever,
right,
he would show up to
with his
salute
stump.
him with his
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
with his stump to be like "fuck you," which is great. But yeah, yeah. No, I mean it's so far I haven't seen anything um like Mizuki adjacent that I haven't liked, and then
No.
especially Kitaro. Like I'll be surprised if there's anything that will be
Oh, I tell you what you won't
disappointing.
like is
Okay.
the
Oh, whoa, wait, hang on. Those 2000s movies with the
yes,
I haven't seen. Yes.
Winks. Yeah,
Oh, yes,
those are
that's
not
who it was.
really.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember seeing them when they were new and being. I think that was another thing actually that put me off Gegege for a while
Right.
was seeing those.
Them.
Like those are not gateway drugs. They're
Right.
very yeah, they're very kind of I can see why they happen because at that point the thing is decades old and beloved and they thought, oh yeah, get some Waints. Everyone likes Waints. Let's get Waints to do
Mhm.
Gegege and it's nah, nah. And there's a lot of people
No.
I like in it. Like I think, you know, Renji Shibashi, Naoto Takenaka, they do cameos as various yokai, but it's well, they're very of that era.
Yeah.
Um, not good, not good.
So where does like the Yokai Dai Senso movies fall on this timeline as well? Because I know
Good question. Yeah,
not
well,
this,
they would
but
have
I
been
loved them
yeah,
intensely.
they would have 68, right? So they would have
That's what I'm
been
thinking.
when the anime came out. So
Hmm.
I'm guessing they might have been partial, and I'd never thought about this before as well, but they might have been partially a reaction to the popularity of the comics.
That's what I'm
And at the
wondering.
same time, they decided I don't think the timeline works that the anime came out first and then the movies. I think they both must have been reacting to,
The comics,
oh,
yeah.
people
This kind
love
of yokai
yokai.
boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, so that's and those are definitely worth watching as well.
Oh,
And
yeah.
and
Those.
yeah,
Yeah, I haven't seen them in a long time, but I have a hankering because of this to go
yeah,
back and
same,
watch
same,
those.
same.
They're Toei, I think, right?
Yes.
Toei's. Yeah.
No, no, no. I think
Huh.
they might be Daiei, are they
Are
maybe?
they not? Oh, okay. Oh, yep.
Because they did the Majin as well. That's Daiei,
Yeah, I
isn't it?
imagine. Yeah,
Yeah.
yes. Which are also, I haven't seen
Oh,
those in forever,
fantastic.
but those are so good.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, hmm.
So yeah, so also so there's a whole bunch of different, but the one like the kind of obscure one that often gets overlooked. There's from 1987.
Uh-huh.
There's a live action from Toy Video. I think it must have been a direct to video. It's like an hour
Hmm.
long kind of thing. And yeah, this is
I
quite a
liked
lot of
this.
fun.
I liked this a lot.
Yes,
This in fact seems far better than it has any right to be, I think. And as long as you can just push past one or two, like I do, I started to appreciate quite early on how ridiculous Dad is in this little plastic
yes,
like
little toy, immovable, but it
yeah,
works.
but it somehow works. It's
Yes,
caught the voice. The voice. It's the
yeah,
same voice actor from the cartoon.
yes.
Um,
Nezumi Otoko as well. Like you realize it's such a shoddy kind of outfit, but it is like in the comic
totally
as well,
works.
right? It's just
It
a
totally
sack
works.
and like some whiskers.
Yeah,
But
whoever the actor completely sells it. I think the actor
yeah,
is
yeah.
great.
That reminded me actually. I mean, yeah, you. so some of the, but again, it's all practical effects. It's all people in costumes, tokusatsu like costumes, and a bit of early kind of computer generated stuff, but it has a certain
Mostly,
charm.
yes, but mostly practical, as you said,
Yeah,
and then occasionally like, and you get lots, you get a good rogues gallery of you've got Kappa in there, you've got
yeah,
Harasu Tengu in there, you've got various, you've got that ridiculous hunk of cloth that flaps around,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
just
What
uh,
I tell you what it reminded me of more than anything else, and they would have been coming out around the same time. And I do wonder if there might have been like I don't know when these things hit video in Japan, but the Taiwanese Child of Peach series. I don't know if you've
yes,
watched any of them yet.
yes,
They're
yeah.
very similar, right? Like especially the end of those, like the last 20 minutes of those movies are always just batshit things flying around and craziness. And the Gegege no Kitaro 1987 live action featurette is kind of like that for an hour, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not
it's
quite up there in
you're
terms of like it doesn't have quite, it doesn't have like mad martial arts skills and stuff like that necessarily, but just the energy and
the amount
vitality
of
of
shit being
things.
thrown at you
Yes,
every 2 seconds is,
yes,
yeah,
and
quite
of course
astonishing.
it's 1997, it's Japanese, so Nezumi Otoko is a little bit more etchy in this one, right? The
Yes,
sexy
you're
woman
right.
turns up, and yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I was surprised by that,
You
but
shouldn't be because
pleasantly
it's
surprised.
1987. Yeah,
Right.
like everything
The
was
kid,
sexualized at this point.
the kid, the kid's good too. Actually, both kids are good.
Yeah,
The kid who plays, and it's good that they are kids, because that's one of the
yes,
problems I think with the Wentz version is that Wentz is not a kid,
no,
right?
no.
Um, so there's the thing. So I don't know much of anything about Akuma-kun, who obviously is the other.
Yes, Akuma-kun turns up. Yeah, well, that's a bit of a bridge because I'm wondering we might do Akuma-kun next as a
Mhm.
companion piece to this if I can find a translated version of the comic. As there's not much of but I do have the live action series from the 60s.
Okay.
I got some of that, and yeah, so we might do Akuma-kun next. The other thing, the important thing we should say about Gegege 87
Mhm.
is the cameo appearance by Mizuki
Oh,
himself.
absolutely. Yes, who appears
Comes on screen
twice.
and paints on the
Yeah,
camera.
there's a little Picasso thing where
Yeah.
he paints on a sheet of perspex or whatever. Yes, and yeah, I always appreciate that he always kind of he's never shy about the arm. Like he's
No, no.
always it's always clear and front and center.
The other thing I grabbed before we go quickly, I managed to find. So Gegege is so popular here that Mizuki Shigeru's wife wrote
Yeah,
a popular book of Gegege no Nyobo, wife of Gegege,
yeah.
which got turned into a TV series as well. Um,
Wow.
so I managed to find that as well. So I might take a look at that at some point. That kind of looks
Mhm.
kind of interesting. But yes, so if you will allow me the finest of puns, I
Mhm.
recommend you go and get yourself some ge. And I'm pretty sure Nick would say the same.
Yeah. I don't know if I would have framed it in that pun, but absolutely
Well, you're
no.
not as talented as
I'm
sexy as
not.
me.
I'm
No.
not. But no, this is absolutely worth your time.
Yeah,
This is tons of fun.
yeah.
Um,
The
Great.
highest of Rex, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
See you then.